Okay, Josh, whew, Fiji.
Yes.
Good job, mate. This is a very belated boat tour. So we're here at Voodoo Marina in Fiji. This is the actual 580 Secret Cove dock. You can see all the boats across here. We've got, well, a lot of them. Different stages of getting the rigs looked at and doing repairs and also babysitting the boats because some of the crews have taken off. They buggered off on holiday. You still working on your boat or what?
No, she's good to go.
You don't have to,
Yeah,
eh?
I tried to keep her clean all this time. You've been telling me we're going to do a tour, so I've kept her clean for you.
She absolutely looks fantastic. So I'm going to pinch the camera from Jane so we can look at the bits and pieces. First of all, the first thing that hits me with your boat is that it still looks like it's just out of the showroom. And it makes me wonder about the paint systems because some of the other boats are not looking as slick as yours. What's the paint?
So I used Alex Seal brand paint, and it was just a product that I was familiar with from my professional experience. I had done a lot of work with it.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of like All Grip's direct competitor.
Yeah,
but I was happy with the Alex Seal product because it can be repaired. You know, whereas All Grip's a little bit easier.
Has it got a clear coat on top or something?
No, this is straight out of the gun. I've never even buffed it.
Bloody hell.
So yeah,
cool.
it's just I painted all the inside parts first.
Yeah,
and that's how I got practice with the gun. And then it was just a lot. So it's 7 coats. It's got 3 coats of
7 coats.
Yeah, it's got 2 coats of high build primer, 2 coats of finished primer, and 3 coats of top coat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she looks really smart. You know, it always has and continues to look that way. So let's just go top to tail. So building the boat, did you enjoy it first?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Cool. Okay, we'll talk more about that when we're inside.
Yeah.
So anything special we're looking at the bow? It's pretty straightforward. You've got a big rigging screw on a soft bobstay.
Yeah. I went with the Dyneema because it's easily replaceable. I can make a new one pretty much any old time, but I wanted to be able to tension it up. So.
And what's the brand of the reefing gear? Harken.
Harken. Yeah. I can't say enough good things about that. That thing, it always works.
Yep. And the hatches?
The hatches are all Lumars.
Lumars, yep. Okay. Yep. And then you got, is that what's the gear? That's all?
Everything's Harken.
Harken. Everything's Harken.
With the exception of the clutches. The clutches are Spinlocks.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's 100% Harken, everything.
Yep. Straightforward Selden rig. The usual stuff.
Yep.
I like the way, anyway, everything's there. You got big solar vent there. How's that going? Had any water through it yet?
Yeah, if it take a wave over the boat, it gets water inside, but it closes up from the inside.
Yeah, so you plug it.
Yeah, if I hear water dripping on the stove, I'm like, oh gosh, get up there and close it real quick. But cool. It's pretty minimal though, and only in extreme conditions.
I can't believe how good it looked. You've gone to the fine detail because we actually haven't told people that part of your background. How would you describe your marine experience in profession?
So I was a marine technician. I worked for a company that imported Ocean Alexander motor yachts from Taiwan into the U.S. We were the West Coast importer, and so we did a lot of commissioning on new boats, but we also just worked on anybody's boats. We did refitting and electrical installations, everything from the keel to the hardtop.
Yeah, so and how many years were you at that?
4 years.
4 years, okay, so that shows through. So virtually as you're building your boat, you're getting all the experience on other people's boats to make the mistakes there. And your boat is perfect.
Exactly.
Because, geez, the detail on the windows.
That's pretty much how that went.
Just off the planet.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I sealed them in, and then Sikaflex sells this special tape that you put on that's UV protective, so it basically protects the sealant from getting sun exposure.
So where did the tape go? On the outside?
It's on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way that I trimmed it and cut it. You can't really.
I didn't even realize that.
You can't really tell, but that's a Sikaflex special product.
Yeah, okay.
In their window installation guidelines, that's one of the things they suggest to use.
Look at this bloody paint, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Even your stainless is, who did your stainless work?
These are Peters.
They're Peters?
Yeah.
Okay, well they look pretty good because a couple of the others don't look as well polished or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's pretty cool. You went with I don't know whether it was cost or simplicity or whatever it is, but you've got straightforward hatch for the companionway. No Dodger. Are you living with that? Would you prefer a Dodger now? Or?
No, not at all. I love it. You know, and you're right. It was just simplicity and cost was the idea behind that. I went with the biggest one I could get in between the frame. The framing. And I get very little water down below. You know, even when it's raining. Just a little bit comes in and just gets on the step kind of inside the hatch there. So I just close it up. I don't even have to close it all the way. I can just, shut it without actually dogging it shut and 98% of the water out.
Yeah.
It's just if you got waves breaking over the boat, sometimes you'll get some splash inside.
Yep.
And it depends on which tack you're on.
Yep.
If you're on, starboard tack and you're getting waves splashing this way, they're more likely to come in. But on the coming over the other side, you can just close the hatch halfway, and it'll kind of deflect a lot of that. So I've really had no problem with water getting in.
Okay.
Knock on.
And you're happy with the cockpit layout, like the big main sheet bridge going across? And
Yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. I mean, it breaks it up a little bit, but at the same time, I use it a lot.
Yeah.
The other guys, theirs is a lot simpler, and it's obviously a lot more useful upwind than downwind. I feel like I move it back and forth more when I'm tacking, but
that's cool.
Yeah, it works really good.
So you got the watertight bulkhead there.
Yeah, so I put the beam right over the frame.
Yeah.
So I figured it would just kind of tie everything together, give the cockpit a bit more stiffness.
And so you got the cockpit locker lids there.
Yep.
So have they caused any issues, any problems?
No.
Which brand are they?
They're Bomars.
Bomars. Oh, they got quite a good lattice work underneath the lid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're strong, and maybe a little bit of water gets in, but nothing. Notable,
it
really.
Does the job.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, it's too sealed up, and you open it up, it's all sweaty inside.
Yeah.
Because it's got.
And you've got looks like a pretty much close to a regulation man overboard ladder. You can climb up there.
Yeah, that was the one Peter provided. So, and then I added the grab bar to the top according to the regulations. So, So that's just Bimini hardware.
And you got the South Atlantic. What's the story there? You happy or?
Yeah, I'm happy with it so far. I mean, I worry a little bit about it taking a big breaking wave or something like that, but up until now it steers the boat great.
Yeah.
It needs very little. It took me a little while to get used to it. I didn't have the hang of it in leg one. And the boat was all over the place, and I kept backwinding the sails and jibing and all this, and then but once I really got the hang of it, how to dial it in and how to basically trim the boat, I just balanced the boat to the point where I'm really not having much input on the tiller.
Yeah.
And then I let the wind vane take over, so the boat's kind of steering itself almost, and the wind vane just kind of corrects it one way or the other. But
my attitude on that, I think the South Atlantic's fine. Value for money is unbelievable. It's light.
It works great.
It is a common design of a servo pendulum system. So all the castings and all that sort of stuff are plenty strong enough. You just got to look after it. Keep an eye on the nuts and bolts and bits and pieces and learn how to fly it.
Exactly.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And it'll do the job. And a pendulum one is, either way, whether it's a servo pendulum or the hydrovane, auxiliary rudder system, it'll steer the boat. You just got to sail to it. So
it seems to like a lot of wind. The more wind I have, the better it works.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, that's cool. And dagger boards, and you've got the cheapest. Forgot the name of the outboard.
It's a Torqeedo.
Torqeedo.
It's the newest generation.
Yeah, I was going to say because it's different battery shape.
Yep.
What's different about that new one?
It's all redesigned, so it's got a totally different. It's got a color LCD screen. Everything's sealed up better. The battery is 1150 watt hours, so it's
bigger.
It's got a huge battery.
It used to only be 850.
Right. And so they have 3 different options. You can get a small motor, a medium motor, and a large motor.
So is that still 1,000 watt or?
It's 3 horsepower.
3 horsepower. Yeah.
1,000 kilowatts.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it seems to last great. Like I motor sailed pretty much all the way here from the reef, which is like 14 miles. And I still had
that's the big thing.
over,
so you take it off the boat and put it down below.
Always.
Because some of them aren't. It's crazy.
After the first night, depending, when I left Tonga, the seas were so big, I took it off. As soon as I cleared the land, it came off and went inside. But I try to take as good a care of it as I can. It's critical.
That was my plan. I'd take mine off before the start gun.
Yeah, exactly.
You put it down below in its case. So that's pretty cool. The rest of it. Now, I'd say your solar panels are set at that height, but you can still pivot them around. They're set at that height,
but they still pivot. And they turn like this, so you can articulate
it's like a seesaw
them. Yeah, you can articulate them all the way around. I just came up with that.
That's perfect.
I was like, how can I get it to kind of be rigid, take the rigid panel, but still spin all around? So I just used Bimini hardware.
Just got a sort of like a bearing down the bottom and a bearing at the top. Just turn around. That's cool. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's real simple and it's plenty strong.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty neat.
The only thing is you can't fit between them and sit on the back rail.
No.
That was my favourite position.
It's bloody.
see, you know, anyway.
Right.
And we'd talk about that in other ways as well, the dumping position, you know, not off the back, off the sides, but
right.
use a bucket.
Yep.
Yep, no worries. Okay, so you've got all the gear, you've got the Ecomax over there.
Yep.
What's this one? That's your...
that's for the Iridium.
That's the seagoing
external
thing,
antenna.
External.
Yep.
And you got a light there. Is that a light?
Yeah, it's a floodlight.
Yeah,
you know,
good idea. I had a big floodlight.
I know, I took that idea
What's
from
the
you. So.
OGM?
That's my stern light.
Oh, stern light.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. It's all aluminum casting and
yeah, that looks really solid.
Yeah, it's really durable. It's
cool.
really
Jazz
bright.
is back. You heard about the chili con carne.
That looked really shit compared to what I
Ah, right. She said that looks really shit compared to what she cooked. Okay, all right. We can talk about that later. We're just doing the boat tour for Josh. So it's all good.
It's so bright. The stern light's so bright sometimes, like, I'll have to
bounce
I'll have to cover it with my hand just so that I can like get my night vision back, you know. So
that's true.
I usually just run the masthead light. And then if somebody shows up on the AIS, I'll put the deck lights on just for extra visibility.
And there's your ensign. We won't talk about that. That's the American ensign in its correct format.
That's right.
Okay, jump aboard and let's have a squiz.
All right.
So, boom, boom.
You want to go straight down?
No, I'll just have a look here first, see how it goes. You got an inflatable life buoy. I had that, but I got it wiped out got it wiped out twice. On the thing, wave come through and bang! I just pulled it off, but I got them back.
I tried to secure it on there as best I could.
No, that's cool. You haven't filled out your bloody thing.
I haven't, I know.
I'm going to bring this up just so all the other builders know what's going on. This thing here, this is a backing plate for the gudgeon pintle sets and stuff, and there's a space there for commissioning. That's to engrave, you know, the name of the boat when it was launched and stuff like that. Anyway,
I was in such a hurry to get to the start.
Exactly. I'm not complaining. Because most people know. Dreams happen. Globe 550. Ooh, Globe 580.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I read that as it's happening. I'm like, he doesn't lie. It's true.
It's funny, eh? When we put it on there, I did it as because we do engraving. I thought, well, let's put that there. But as I'm sailing across in Tracker, I'm looking at it all the time, thinking, oh shit, you know. Anyway, that's another story. Okay.
So I got this is a
little Garmin.
Cockpit instrument basically that shows, like, normally the way I have it set up will be like velocity made good to the next checkpoint, you know, GPS speed, and then heading to the next waypoint and compass heading or GPS heading. So
and you got a hinging GPS plotter or something? On there?
It's got
pull it out.
It's got the big chart plotters inside. You can just pull it out. So I usually am looking at both. No, very good. Okay, let's jump down below. See how we go. Geez, I haven't been below a 580 for a long time. I'm going to go wide. Oh, we're already on wide angle, Jing. That's already on wide, so that's easy. Okay, I'll see if I get this right for Josh's boat. Okay, here we are. Japers, bloody hell, that's very nice. Okay, down here a bit. So I'm sitting on the starboard quarter berth now, settee berth. This looks really good. I'm just scanning around first impressions because I haven't really been inside. I've stuck my head through the hatch a few times. And that's the safety inspection.
But it's very cool. It's got a nice feel. Very organised.
I wanted to make it comfortable. Because I know I'm going to spend a lot of time in here. So I try to focus on having everything be soft and comfortable for the eyes and the hands and the feet.
Absolutely. My first impression is you don't have a cabin sole, which is a good thing.
I don't have a cabin sole. I wanted the extra headroom. And then come to talk to the other entrance, they all get water trapped under there. You know.
Exactly.
And Jacob says, because I was like, you can store canned goods and stuff under there if you wanted to. He's like, but they get all rusty and it seems like it's almost more trouble than it's worth. It is more comfortable with the floor. I'm not gonna lie, but like I'm happy the way it is.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I had the cabin sole from the bolts forward because I'd be on my knees all the time. I'd jump down here and I'd sit here on the seat, and then I'd just lunge forward and on my knees there, and I had foam mats there, so I could work galley or chart table or whatever it is. But back here, I obviously let it go, let it simple. So okay, we'll go through it all in detail after. But life raft down here. What else you got? Where's your panic bag, Dio? Grab
panic bag's right there.
Right there. That's cool.
I always keep it up on. It's usually on the berth on the high side.
So have you drowned these bunks yet?
No.
That's cool. You don't have spray curtains. I had spray curtains.
I do.
You've got
I just
spray
haven't put them up.
curtains.
But yeah, they're here. I have one for each side.
Yeah, that's
They
perfect.
snap
Just-
into these snaps here.
Yep.
And then it covers the sides.
I've got to keep out of the sun. Yeah, that's perfect. So the idea of the spray curtains, they're either side. You come down with your wet weather gear and sit on this seat here, and then you get your gear off, and any water doesn't go onto your bunk. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were good.
Wow. Okay. And so you've got an Origo stove, a methane stove.
I do have it's out on the galley table right
sort
now
out there.
because we've been using it as our secondary burner. But yeah, the Origo goes right here.
Yep.
And I use that every night. I mean, I've got a jet boil as well.
Yeah.
The jet boil gimbal,
Oh, that's what we did. Yeah, same thing.
is here. I know. I copied you on that too because all the steam can go out the door. I mean, I watched your videos like over and over again, you know, to try to get the idea how to do it. And but I've only used the jet boil twice.
Yeah.
Honestly, even when it comes to boiling water for a cup of tea, I just use the Origo. It's just so easy. You just light it up and off you go. It takes a little bit longer, but it's really no problem.
Okay.
So yeah, the solar vent is here. It comes out here.
Oh yeah. Can you turn that off as well?
Yeah.
Stop it for, yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's got a little fan inside.
Yep.
But I really only run it when it's
Yeah.
stuck shut right now. But I really only run it when I'm cooking.
Yeah.
Basically, to kind of vent the steam and the fumes and stuff from the alcohol.
Okay, and you got a similar thing that we had, just a hose stuck in your containers there.
Yeah, copied you on that too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The little sink is handy, eh?
The little sink is great, although it's it's a bit more for import when it comes to actually using it as a sink, because normally you're so healed over that it wouldn't drain.
Well, the other thing is I didn't have to use it because I never got any water down below, but had a big juicy sponges, and if it's like a bucket, and then you're sponging it out, and you can tip it in the sink before having to open the hatch if it's really bad.
And I've got a salt water tap.
Jeepers.
And fresh water.
Okay, you went up on me. I didn't do a salt one.
So that's for washing dishes and stuff like that, or you can if you do like a little bit of salt water, and you can cook pasta if you add some fresh water to it. And save water that way.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it looks nice and tidy. Sheesh, you sure you got enough bolts on the window?
Yeah, that's what everybody says. They're like, well, I know they're not coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Oops. But the beauty of that is it supports the bloody... Is that acrylic or polycarb?
It's acrylic.
Acrylic, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and you've got the fire extinguisher up there. You've got the loop there
opening
for
port lights. Some guys don't have those. I love those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that.
Only in calm sea when you're offshore, but...
Makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
I'm with you. Same way. Okay, so as simple as they are, there's your cheapest big screen chart plotter.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And they're your emergency nav lights?
Yep.
Perfect, little tiny ones.
Yeah, those work
they're
great.
Cool.
I always had those on my last sailboat, and they always worked great.
Couple of handhelds.
Yep.
VHF, you got your big one up there. Which is your AIS? Is it in the...
AIS is down right there.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, right there.
Oh, it's a transponder.
Yeah, it's a transponder.
Yep, gotcha.
It's a Garmin 800.
Yeah. I can see it in the cuddy pack there.
NEMA 2000.
Yep. Oh, you don't have a floor in your cuddy hole?
No, I just have net.
Oh, that makes it bigger. That's better.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I just put soft stuff in there.
Yeah. So it doesn't have a floor in this stuff cuddy. It's got a net bottom, so you stuff things in there and it just hangs down. Yep. That's cool.
Yeah, it works pretty good.
Yep. Okay, so that's cool. And there's your big electric bilge pump.
Yep.
Down here, and that's your manual one down there. You got bungs over your keel bolts.
Yeah. I had my best friend. He's a machinist, and
I made them up.
Yeah, I had a big chunk of 2-inch starboard. So he just turned them down on the lathe for me, and then I just stuck them on with Sikaflex.
Perfect.
Yeah, they work great. Everybody's jealous of them. Everybody that sees them is just like, oh,
they look like, I thought they were the builders ones. The ones they put on rebar. Concrete ones to stop people skewing themselves.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they work great, and they're nice and soft. So.
Yep. Okay. And so up here in the forecastle, jeepers, have you got a lot of gear off the boat at the moment?
No,
that answers the question.
Yep.
I was going to say you don't have anywhere near the amount of stuff that others have.
It's not about what you need, it's about what you don't need.
This is your mountain climbing one.
That's right.
You've ticked the boxes on all the safety gear and all the bits that you need.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And so up forward there's 6 storage compartments under the floor.
Yeah.
So like on the starboard side I've got like my tools, like my hacksaw.
Yeah.
And I keep the bolt cutters handy, they're always close by.
Yeah.
But and just other random stuff. I got a heat gun and stuff. And then in the center one is where my little rubber inflatable boat is.
Yep.
For
it's in there. You got one of those thingo ones.
It's just like
lightweight backpacker one.
Yeah, it's like it's a 2-man rubber boat. It's the sort of thing that you would like float down the river in, But it's got oars and everything. It works great. I'm really pleased with it. I got it off Amazon. on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then in that compartment just behind the hatch there is the batteries.
That's the batteries.
Two
Yeah,
lithium
same as
batteries
us.
in there, and it's got a watertight. It's pretty much all watertight, so it keeps anything out.
So you'll have lithium because you're an electrician.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and so this looks very impressive. Tell us about your electrics. They look pretty close to waterproof.
They are.
Yep.
Yeah, I designed all the electrics to be as waterproof as they could be.
Yeah.
You know, just in case, you know, we get some serious flooding or something, you know, it'll stay on for as long as possible.
Yeah. Like as a job when you get out of here, you should produce those, and you could sell one to every bloody 580 builder just about.
Yeah, just custom
as a box.
Custom
and the same.
choose your
so
loads.
just walk us through the two. Like one's a switchboard, and the other one's all your.
It's got the
bits.
two battery monitors on the side. It's got the little LCD screen, which is just an additional battery monitor. You know, I don't use it as often as I thought I would.
Yeah.
And then it's got the switch for the tricolor light. You know, tricolor ankle strobe, so you can control what it's doing, and then it's got the Echo Max, and the two breakers are for the solar MPPTs.
Yeah.
And everything's all accessible. I helped Eric put an MPPT in his boat this morning, and we had to take half the bulkhead apart to get to it.
Yeah.
And so those you can just open up the boxes.
I really
and
like that.
Right inside. You know.
I would buy that if I was building a boat.
Right.
I would absolutely just say, Josh, make me both of those boxes.
Yep.
Leave 60 centimeters of cable coming out of everything.
Yep.
Label the cables.
Yep.
I would copy all the gear that's on this boat, and I would just bolt it on, run the wires, fit the fittings, and connect them up.
Yeah, so I've got a 110 volt outlet. I've got shore power. I've got a shore power connection in the cockpit that's watertight.
Shore power.
So you can plug into shore power if you've got. I haven't been able to use it since we left Antigua because it hasn't been 110, or I guess in Panama too. But so then you can plug stuff in here if you want to, you know, chargers and.
So you obviously did all your electrical and everything. You've hidden all the cables pretty well.
Yeah, they run in a tube underneath there, and then they go through the wire chase. On the left side.
On the back.
So,
you're one of the few that did what we did on Trekker. You know, having this backrest. I reckon it's really good because not only do you get mine was actually a little bit thicker than that to decrease the width of this bunk.
The bunks are a bit too wide. You know, you tend to end up sliding back and forth.
If any 580 builders are watching this, you've got to do this backrest. It takes nothing. It adds a little bit of strength, and it just makes it so you're not sitting right up against the hull. Your legs dragging, and you get those storage right alongside the bloody right alongside where you want it.
It's great. I divide where the stringer is behind there. I put a floor in, so it's got
same thing.
Yeah, so
that shelf was really good. I had zigzag shock cord there up on a hook, so you could drop it down and just drop them in.
Yep.
So that looks pretty good.
Yeah. One thing that is notable is that I've still got my bar here.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I think maybe Pilar has one, but she might be the only other one. But in the B&B video, that 3D model, you know, everybody's watched 1,000 times. They say to cut it out. There's a certain point when you can cut it out, but I was like, well, I'm going to leave mine in because I can cut it out anytime, but I can't put it back.
Yep.
And so I love it. I am constantly holding on to this thing, you know, because everybody else just did fore and aft handles in some different variation. They did ropes or they did dowel rods or whatever, but like every time I'm climbing into somebody else's boat, I'm always grabbing for this thing. It's never there. I'm just like, how do you do this? So yeah, I absolutely love this. I constantly am just sitting right here and holding on to this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
These posts are indispensable.
Yep, those two.
Because you're grabbing onto them all the time.
All the time.
And when I forget when I first saw this, it could have been on your boat, and I thought that's a cool idea because it is, you're swinging down, you know, often you come in and grab it and slide down and stuff.
And it gives a little bit of stiffness to the deck too, I think. So
Yep, absolutely.
Makes the boat a little stiffer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your favourite part about living on the boat, like in terms of the way it's fitted out, you know, like any suggestions? The stove?
For sure. Yeah, if you're considering getting one or if you're not, you know, that's my favorite part is making dinner and to using the stove to cook.
Yeah.
It makes real meals and it's really good for morale, you know.
Yeah, they're really good, and apparently they're back on the market now.
Yeah, that's what I heard because like I bought mine. I bought my stove. I think maybe even the before of or the day I bought the plans.
Yeah.
It was the very first thing I purchased because
you were lucky to get one.
I know there was one up on eBay, and I was just like, oh, that's it. I'm getting it right now, and I ended up finding the gimbal kit for it too. So. That was the very first thing that I bought, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I still love it, so I think it's highly worth it.
I bought mine on American eBay as well.
Yeah.
I had to ship it across. Cost a fortune.
And then Christian's like, you can just buy them in the shop. And I was like, can you? I didn't think you could. So.
Well, that was the stove I used in the BOC back in 1990.
Yeah.
The 2-burner. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
Works great.
So anyway, that's cool. And obviously there's a lot of work. How much, if you had to step into a boat that's got no electrical system on it, right, and start from scratch, you know, run the wires, let's assume all the hardware's fitted, but you've got to run the wires, connect it up, make those boxes and everything. How many weeks do you reckon it'll take you?
6.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it took me 2 weeks to build the boxes.
Yeah.
And for 3 to 4 weeks to do the installation.
Yeah.
To connect everything.
Yeah.
Basically, to run all the wires, put all the glands. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I can assure you, every builder that's watching this will look at those and they'll just dribble. You know.
Yeah.
That's just perfect.
This is the other thing you can't live without.
Oh yeah.
12 volt fan. That thing is absolutely critical.
That's a USB one?
Yeah, it's USB.
Yeah.
Got that in Panama. And along with the stove, that I would have to say is my second favorite part. And the paper towel roll.
Yeah. Oh yeah, paper towel rack.
Yeah, I can't live without that either.
Yeah, exactly. No, all very good. Okay. So, do you? How challenging being sort of like involved in the industry and sort of commissioning boats and doing refits and things like that. You then get into building the boat, right? How difficult would you say it is for someone to build? How's your take on that? And just, I'm assuming you were pretty hands-on before it.
Yeah. That's why I excelled at what it was that I did. But it's not terribly difficult. It's just you have to stick with it. It can be discouraging at times when something you try or haven't tried before maybe doesn't work out, and to keep going, to always be working towards the next step. That it's critical to not look at it as like, oh my gosh, this boat's never going to be finished, because you're thinking about a finished boat, but just to look at what is right in front of you. So if you're putting up the frames, you just focus on one frame at a time, or if you're doing the fiberglass, you just focus on getting that done well, and then you worry about the fairing and then the painting and everything. And if you just take it one step at a time, it kind of breaks it up into more manageable parts.
Keep it going. Did you log your times?
No, but I would say all told it was probably about 3,000 hours.
Yeah. Okay. What did you do about your keel? Did you get someone to fabricate the steel?
Yeah, the keel is an interesting story. Businesses all over Seattle basically helped that thing come together. I was looking around for a steel manufacturer that would cut it for me, and kind of everything there, because it's a shipping town. They all do big jobs for ships and stuff like that, and it was kind of too small potatoes. They didn't want to take it on. But I found a place that was willing. They had a small job shop, and so they CNC lasered the parts for me and put the bevel in the top plate. And then I had it welded at another place, Ballard Marine Fabrication. So I took it down there and I talked to those guys, and they worked with me. They were really good, because obviously there's high standards for the welding, and they were willing to accommodate that. And so that was cool. And then my best friend is the same one who made these caps for me for the keel bolts. He runs a shop, Lacey Machine Works, out of his house, and he's got a bunch of machine tools. So he did all the bevels for me, put the bevels on the plates, he beveled the keel plate and everything like that, and drilled all the holes and everything that needed to be done. And then I just faired it and painted it.
What about the bulb?
The bulb. So I got lead left over from work, and then I took it to a place that did the molds for me. So they did green sand molds, and so I had the molds made at one place called Gill's Aluminum Foundry down in Soto in Seattle.
Yeah.
And then I took it over to another place called Non-Ferrous Metals, and they actually poured the lead for me.
Yeah.
And then they took them back to Gill's, and he cleaned them up and gave them to me. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a big process that involved businesses all over the Seattle area. I mean, building the keel was almost just an individual project in itself.
Yeah.
I took it really seriously, because it's obviously the most important thing. You can lose the rig and survive. You can lose the rudder and survive. But if you lose the keel,
it's a problem.
It's all over. So I took that really seriously. That is as well made as the boat. In its own right. Yeah.
Did you log the total build time? Not time we did that. Budget. Did you log your budget? I don't know whether you want to talk about it.
I didn't. But I would say all up probably 60,000 US.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't spare any expense. I
can see that.
I got all Harken hardware, all Victron electrics. I did the Alex Seal paint, which was not cheap paint. And then the teak finish and stuff like that. But I also had the benefit of industry pro pricing.
Yeah.
So I had I was getting stuff for just above cost from the chandlery. So
were you telling them, hey, this is for my little boat, I'm going to sail around the world?
Yeah.
They give you a cut?
Yeah.
Or they charge you double, so you're an idiot.
No, we were all really cool. So
so
they helped me out. They were fishery supply in Seattle. They're
we used to buy stuff off them all the time.
Best chandlery in the world, if you ask me.
Yeah, they every time, because we've done lots of silly things with boats, all sorts of Titan ships and stuff.
Yep.
And if you could never find it, you could get onto fishery supply, and it was there. We used to be agents for some of the West Marine stuff, but all the tricky stuff, fishery supply would always bloody have it.
Yeah, if they can't find it for you, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story. Because that's where I met Jane. You know, when we were building this big steel motor sailor, and we used to ship stuff into China all the time. Anyway, I digress. So, what's your favourite gadget on the boat? You know what I mean? Besides the fan,
chart plotter.
Chart plotter.
Oh man, I look at that thing all the time.
Really? It must suck a bit of juice because it's a big one.
It is a big one, but no, all up. Like with the chart plotter running, the AIS on, the nav lights on, charging my cell phone.
It's a big screen. I went for a 5-inch screen on purpose. That's a monster.
And it's not a touch screen. It's all manual control. I wanted that because the touch screens tend to be less reliable.
Yes, we've got a big touch screen on our adventure boat, and it just died.
Yep. And if your hands are wet, and the screen gets wet, all of a sudden you can't touch on it. So I went with the full manual control one, and everything's Garmin.
Yeah, cool.
All Garmin electrics for nav. So Garmin AIS, Garmin VHF, Garmin chart plotter.
I see you've got the telltale compass there. Where do you hang that, or you just leave it there?
I just leave it there until I'm doing a hand bearing. I've got the.
Can you see it from your bunk? Oh, you can see that.
Yeah, I've got the two-sided contest compass.
The numbers never make a difference, but you always remember you just pick a number. That's what I'd be laying here and I'd pick a number, and then just as long as it doesn't move off that number, we know we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'd use my handheld GPS all the time.
Yeah.
I'd just turn it on and just look at the course and the speed, and that would tell me everything about the boat.
Yeah. So all up, it's like 3.5 amps, 4 amps a draw.
Oh, that's not cheap.
No.
You only got 100.
Right.
Oh, no, you got 200.
I got 200.
Yeah, 200.
So, it pretty
you can
much,
use 100 of it.
I use 100 of it, and I'll go down to 75% overnight.
Yeah.
And then with the solar, I'll be back up to 100 by noon.
That's cool.
Usually if it's a sunny day.
Yeah.
So it works. It's really efficient. It works really well. I mean, and I'm not running the Starlink, so that's the other. I mean, a Starlink will be that much more on top.
Because you don't have Starlink, hey?
I haven't.
No. Would you like one if you had the budget?
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. But I just got the Iridium Go.
Yeah, the exec.
Yeah, it works. It works good enough.
Yeah.
It does WhatsApp and it gets me the forecast. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Yep. So, how much? So, obviously, hopefully, you're enjoying yourself. We discussed this the other day with the MGR because you've invested time, money, effort, all that passion, and things like that. And we talk about this often, just to give people a bit of a backgrounder who are watching the boat tour for the first time. You're more or less an accomplished mountain climber, which has lots of different disciplines, and then you've rolled over to sailing. But I'd never asked you the question, had you ever sailed before? Was there ever sailing in the family and everything before the mountains?
No, so
nothing at all.
Well, we did boating. Yeah. So I had been boating my whole life.
Yeah.
Like from fishing on the Great Lakes to bass fishing in Nevada, and I had worked when I was younger on a tuna boat out of Hawaii, so anywhere from 40 to 400 miles offshore. We would go out for a week, and then fish, and then a week back. So we'd be a week offshore, and so I had plenty of offshore experience, but never on a sailboat. Just on power boats. So I knew how to navigate, I knew how to dock a boat, I knew how to drive a boat and everything. But I just didn't know how to sail a boat. And so, one day I decided I was going to learn, and I looked into sailing lessons to see how much they were, and I thought, oh, wow, those are expensive. I can just buy a boat for that price.
So what'd you get?
So I got a CNC 24, which is a little...
that's right.
Great Lakes racer. Yeah, it was a 76. It was classic plastic, I like to say. But they made them really well back then. Thick hulls and strong decks and... good rigs, and it was a speedy little boat, man. Every time I went out, like nobody could catch me, so I felt like it was a lot of fun. So I just taught myself basically. The very first time I ever sailed my boat, I was single-handed. Yeah. First time I ever went sailing in my life, I was single-handed.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I just kind of went from there.
And you've got a profound feeling for all the issues associated with safety and celestial navigation and so on. I'll never forget when you turned up in Antigua. I had no idea. I'd seen your big struggles, you know, to drive the boat across and getting the boat built, and you hadn't sailed it, you know, from the time you motor out the thing. And I'm saying to Jane, so I don't know about this guy, you know. He just, you know. Anyway, and even to the point where we meet you, you know, and you've got the outboard there, and you come in and stuff like that. It was like a day. First of all, I thought, geez, the boat's good. Yeah. And then, geez, he has got all the gear. Yeah. And then the next one, when we do the safety, because it was happening straight away, you only just arrived. Yeah. You were so well organised. Yeah. So obviously, you know, and you know, there's a rollover there. If you're climbing on a mountain, you've got to get your kit right. Yep. You've got to plan, you've got to prepare, you've got strong self-discipline. Yep. You're just shining on this, you know, like it's way out there. So I'm not sure whether this is a question or a statement, but I can put it to you as a question. So obviously your mountain climbing experience has rolled over to the MGR because there are risks. Yeah. This is a seriously risky circumnavigation. Yeah. You're all making it look too good. It's my biggest piss off at the moment. People just think it's a walk in the park, and it's not.
It's not.
Can you quantify that a bit?
Yeah. You know? So what I took from years in the mountains was priority on self-reliance. You know, because in a lot of those places that we went, nobody was coming for you. You know, if something were to go wrong, you were 100% on your own. So you always have to be thinking through, you know, what would I do if it went wrong? You know, even as you're watching your lead climber climb up and you're on belay or whatever, and you're halfway up the mountain face, you're thinking, okay, if he fell right now, what would I do? You know, I'd have to do this, I'd have to rig that. And so you're constantly kind of going through those steps in your mind, and it kind of just prepares you mentally for any scenario, you know. So you're just always kind of thinking ahead. And planning ahead for you know, plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? Yeah. And so that, and then you're, like you said, being organized, knowing where everything is. You know, you have your backpacks, everything's perfectly packed. You know exactly if I have to reach in there and grab it. You know right where it is. Your hand can find it in the dark, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it all really carries over. It all translates. You know, and we like you said, we have made it look easy, but I promise it's not easy.
Absolutely.
You spend many nights laying awake wondering about
what the hell am I here doing this for?
Am I doing it right? Basically, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's all very cool. It's a real credit to you. It's an amazing thing. You've got another interesting connection with B&B Yachts, you know, who did the whole kit thing. And I didn't realise that connection until I see one of your posts, and they're on the boat sailing. That's the first one they'd sort of seen sailing. So that's pretty cool. They're probably watching this as well. Yeah,
where I launched it in North Carolina was Oriental.
This is
and they were
B&B. Just to be clear, B&B did the 3D modelling, did all the kit, sort of CNC cutting file, all the graphics that people watch, you know.
They're the North American kit supplier, so if you're buying a kit in North America, it's going to come from them. And I launched it 15 miles from where they have their warehouse or their factory. So I built the boat 4,000 miles away, and I brought it to 15 miles away from where it was originally created. So it was really full circle. And so they all came down, and I got to take Graham out. Graham's Burns is the founder, one of the founders, and so he got to come out sailing, and he's looking at the rig, and he's telling me all that. He's like he's got more sailing experience than probably 5 of us put together. You know? So it was really unique opportunity, and I was really honored to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think
they're a cool group of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think they've well and truly had an impact on the success of the class, because I remember, you know, he said, okay, I did some research. I had a few different companies I could use to do the modelling, and then I thought, no, these guys look cool, because I like their other boats as well. And so we started a relationship. It was an internet love affair again. You know, you'd never really meet them, but you talk about things. They did it, and we talked about what they would deliver and things like that. But geez, when they started doing all the video computer graphics and then the whole 1-hour tutorial, you know, Jane and I were watching all this and said, geez, I want to build one.
Exactly. I watched that tutorial probably 1,000 times.
It's had like 90,000 or nearly 90,000 views
and
now.
I've talked to Dan. Dan watched it hundreds of times.
Oh, yeah.
Really, they guided us through the whole thing.
It's just amazing.
Every one of us,
so, I mean, I'm not saying they did it, but what I will say to everyone is that they had a big impact on the success of the whole thing. People trusted the build, you know, so when they see all that, it's all, Okay.
Yeah.
That looks easy.
Yeah, it kind of, like I said, it kind of breaks it down into its individual components and kind of lets you see step by step how it comes together, and you think, oh yeah, that is possible.
Yeah. So thanks to B&B.
Yeah,
anyway, that's
sure.
all cool. All right, I think we covered it. Anything else? What's your what do you think was the most fun part about building the boat? Forget about sailing it, just the fun part, building it right up until launch, sort of thing. What?
So I would have to say probably either when I, put the whiskey plank on, or whatever you want to call it, and then you can see this boat,
Oh, it's a boat.
It's a boat. Oh my gosh, because you put the frames up and you kind of get the shape of it, and then you put the stringers in and you kind of get it kind of takes shape step by step, and then you put the planking on, and then you do the fiberglassing, which is horrible, lots of sanding and fairing, but then you flip the boat over and you can actually climb inside of it for the first time and sit inside of it and look around. Yeah, that was really a cool moment for sure. Then it kind of inspires you to keep going, because you think I've made it this far. Yeah.
What do you think you'll do with the boat after it's all over?
Well, we're not going to talk about that where it can hear me, but
good idea. Yeah, forget that. Delete that section.
I'll probably have to put it up for sale if I can keep it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to try to recoup some costs from the whole thing. But it takes such good care of me. I don't want it to know that.
That's funny, because we've already had the scenario. Because I think the first Transat there was 5 of us, and I think all of us sold the boats after that, didn't we? The first Transat, because you build it for a purpose. That's it. And if you can afford to keep it, you can't just let it sit there because it's not good for the boat.
Right, exactly.
So it's not even a case of
I mean, if I could, so all things considered, if I was dreaming and I was able to do it, I would want to do the R2AK, which is a big race up in Seattle.
Oh yeah,
just like that.
I got a feeling we could.
Only.
I reckon we could talk a few people
it
into that.
It would be a really cool boat for that race.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's light and it doesn't take a whole lot of wind to get it going, and and it's strong, so you
won't get the bag of cash and ring the bell. And stuff,
probably not.
What the heck, doesn't matter.
It would be a fun boat to do that into.
Absolutely.
If you could find another person as crazy as you are to stay up for days on end, that kind of thing.
But, we thought about that at one stage, a long time ago.
Eventually, I'm going to have to get a bigger boat so I can take the missus.
Yeah.
I think she insists on that. So.
Yep, absolutely. And she's coming here, right?
Yeah, she'll be here in 10 days.
10 days, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Well done, mate. It's
pleasure.
a fantastic boat.
Yeah.
You're really an inspiration for lots of different reasons, and it's good to have we say this with respect. It's good to have a Yank in the race.
I try to represent.
I'm an Aussie, full of Poms and Yanks and bloody. Anyway, here we go. All right, fantastic. So
cool.
I'll spin this around here, and we will say goodbye. So that's Skookum. Really nice boat, and even though he's a mountain climber, he's a pretty good sailor too, so it's not bad. See ya.